Is it better to just do it all at once and figure out everything all at once, or should we do one at a time? Hi everybody, welcome back to Bustling Home. So let's go back to this idea of infrastructure, all these things we need to build. The first one is the barn. Because our garage has, let's see, we have a disc attachment, we have a harrower. Is that the thing with the little hooky plow thing? I'm not very good with the names. So we have a disc plow, we have a hooky thing plow, we have a snow plow or bulldozer, we have a trailer, and we might have some other stuff for the tractor. I don't remember. That's kind of Jeff's thing. I've never actually driven a lawn tractor. And then, of course, we have the lawn tractor itself, and we have tools for it, and we have gas cans for it. And that's just the stuff related to the tractor. That's taking up a good portion of a garage already. And I want my garage back. I want to be able to walk through it and park bikes, and eventually we might put a dojo in it. So we really do need that space back. In addition to the tractor-related stuff, we still haven't taken down our summer garden, which means we have somewhere between 200 and 300 feet of fence netting. So we have to pull all that out of the ground and roll it up, stash it somewhere, so that it's not getting squished or otherwise damaged. And then we have maybe 4 or 5 tomato cages made from cattle fencing. So these things are like 4 feet wide, 4 feet long, and 8 feet tall, something like that. And if we put them on the sides, then the bottom pokey things where we cut the edge of the fencing off, those are going to impale somebody. I mean, one of the kids is going to impale themselves on those things. They're really sharp. On the plus side, it was really easy to put them in the ground, but let's not have anybody impale themselves in our garage. That gets way too messy. So once we put those in the garage, there are even more impediments to trying to get through there. And we just don't need any more crap in the garage. So we need a shed. So we can put all the garden equipment, all the farm equipment, and eventually things like animal feed and animal supplies and that sort of stuff down there, because if we get animals, we're going to need all the other accessories for them, which is going to take up even more of the garage. And eventually, we're not going to be able to get from one side of the garage to the other without having to go out of the house and all the way around to the other side of the garage through the driveway. That's just not functional. So, our current idea for a barn, or shed, whatever you want to call it, is to pour a concrete slab and then install something like a Quonset hut over it. Because a Quonset hut looks to be, so far, the most affordable option for a shed barn thing. And we would have a door on both ends of it, or at least doors on 2 sides of it, so that we don't have to turn the tractor around inside. We can just drive in one side and drive out the other side. And then maybe add a people door on a third side, something like that, and some windows just to let a little bit of light in. I don't know what size yet. We have to see what's available and see what the budget looks like for it. But that's our plan so far. As far as location, we are thinking of putting the shed barn, we'll just make a new word, shed barn, on what is currently the garden site. One of the problems that we had with the vegetable garden this year is we got a bunch of voles, we got some rabbits, we got some deer in it. Just all these critters decided to make our garden home, and that's not why I'm growing vegetables. So our garden site is next to a little patch of woods, which means that all these little varmints have somewhere to hide when they're not in our garden. If we move the garden away from this chunk of woods, then maybe they will leave our garden alone a little bit more because they would have to cross open ground to get to it, which, again, given the population of hawks around here, that's kind of hazardous for the little ones, like the non-deer. So, where our garden sits right now, we have the solar array on the north side, we have the woods on the south side, we have the driveway on the west side, and we have open field on the east side. If we put the barn there, we can drive in directly from the driveway on a little driveway. There's a lot of redundant things here. Sorry, memory card filled up. If we drive from the driveway onto the driveway into the barn, we can drive straight through the other side into the field, where we would have our sheep and our chickens, and maybe the rabbits somewhere nearby the chickens, so we have all of our livestock kind of together. I have to research that a little bit. I've heard two things about rabbits and chickens. One, that they go really well together, and two, that they share diseases and basically kill each other. If you have any advice on that, let me know, because I'm kind of confused about that right now. And we're going to have to figure that out before we install these. But anyhow, drive through the barn, have all of our livestock, and then we're thinking of moving our garden to the east or northeast of the solar array instead. So it'd be kind of out in the middle of the field instead of right at the edge of the woods. And we could keep the whole area around it mowed that way. And we'll get more into what we're going to do with the garden later. But that's at least one of the modifications that we're hoping to make with the vegetable garden. In addition to the shed barn, we need to build a chicken coop. And I have some idea of what needs to be in a chicken coop, but we have to figure out things like the layout and the size, and we have no idea how much this is going to cost. If you've ever built a chicken coop for something like 100 chickens, let me know. I need to know about this in the comments below here, or send me a message or something. Just please help me. Because this is going to be kind of bigger than the usual domestic chicken installment. Kind of like our giant solar array that is way oversized for a domestic installation. But that's how we roll around here. Go big or don't bother. It's always both feet in all at the same time. Which maybe that means we'll do all the animals at once. Anyhow, chicken coop. It would be nice to have it easily cleanable, easily maintainable for the building itself. Of course, it has to have good ventilation so the chickens don't get sick, but not good enough ventilation that they're going to freeze in the winter. We're going to need to have electricity out there. We'll probably just carry water out there. I think that's about it for chickens. Have to attach a run to it so that we can let the chickens outside without having the hawks pick them off. Is there anything else for chickens? I think that's about it. Basically feed them, water them, and they give you eggs and meat, right? Maybe I'm naive. We'll see. We have a lot to learn. Then there are the rabbits. I know even less about rabbits than I do about chickens and sheep. So, what I know about rabbits is they eat, they poop, and they live in cages. And they are really good at turning rabbit food into meat. That's about it. That's why it seems like a good idea. Oh, and the meat's really lean, so you have to add a fat source to it, which the sheep will handle that. They got plenty of fat on them. So that's what we have in our plans for infrastructure and animals. One of my concerns with all of this is I don't know how much most of it's going to cost. The shed barn, we can get some rough quotes from some steel company. I forget what their name is. I'll link it below what we were looking at. If you know of any other steel companies that put out Quonset hut kits, let me know. I would like to do a little comparison shopping. So we can get an estimate from the steel company. And we have a rough idea of how much it takes to pour a slab with a single load of concrete or cement, whichever it's called. So we have a pretty good idea of what the shed barn will cost. The chicken coop, since it will probably have to be a custom build, I have no idea how much that's going to cost. I have also never seen a chicken coop kit for like 50 to 100 chickens. So I don't even know if that's possible. Maybe we'll look into some other options for outdoor space, like chicken tractors, or General Stewart had this zip tie dome thing. But I'm not sure if that would be as useful in our case, since our land is so hilly. It might leave some gaps at the bottom that they can get out. Her land seems to be fairly flat. And then the sheep lean-to, I'm not really considering that as a major expense, because that should be fairly simple. The rabbit hutches, they seem simple, but I think the materials could probably accrue pretty quickly, and the cost for them could accrue pretty quickly. Of course, all of this would be cheaper if we did the work ourselves. Unfortunately, Jeff has a full-time job, and I have 6 kids to watch after. And neither of us really has great building skills. I mean, if it's a simple project, we could probably figure it out. We have the tools. We're smart people. But what do we do with the kids while we do this? And how much is it going to cost us for the childcare and Jeff's time off to buy us the time to do it? Would it just be cheaper to hire someone to do it than to take off the time and possibly screw it up because we're not real good at this stuff? It might be. We have to get some estimates and kind of price that stuff out yet. So those are our plans for 2021, at least for outside of the house. There are a lot of things that I want to work on inside the house this winter. And I'll make that as a separate video. Subject to change, of course, because who knows what's going to happen. 2020 has been a crazy enough year. I have no idea what's going to come next year or even for the rest of this year. If you like this kind of content, hit the thumbs up below. If you want to see more of it, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell notification so that you are notified every time I put out a video on homesteading, homeschooling, or home management. I'd love to have you stick around. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you next time.